taxation regulations were issued by the Indonesian government, amongst others a tax amnesty which provides an opportunity to Indonesian taxpayers to revise their tax obligations without penalties. The guest speakers of tonight's German Business Club meeting are two experts if it comes to taxation, Muhammad Dafi Iskandar and Awang Samudra, are representatives of MIM Consulting Jakarta, a company specialized in taxation, accounting, and management services. Major companies across the country are amongst their clients. In their presentation, Pak Muhammad and Pak Awang will focus on the new Indonesian taxation regulations with reference to foreign companies and expatriates. They will answer questions like how will new taxation regulations affect the financial situation of foreign corporates and expatriates in Indonesia? Will there be incentives to attract foreign direct investments? Or will tax amnesty really bring back the money that has been parked on foreign bank accounts, especially in Singapore? And finally, can companies and private taxpayers save tax with these new regulations? Pak Muhammad and Pak Awang brought a lot of material. That's why we actually tried to start a little bit earlier, but now we start as usual at 7, so I think we should not waste more time and just go into the topic. And please welcome with a warm round of applause our experts from MIM Consulting.
Good evening, everyone, and good enough. Do I need mic, or is it good enough for you if I speak without mic microphone? Okay. To be more natural, maybe I won't not use microphone because our intention to go to Surabaya is also to give you knowledge about the tax regulation. Why? Because tax is very important in Indonesia, and maybe throughout the world, you must pay taxes. But why it is very difficult for people? Why tax consultant is here in Indonesia now throughout the world? Because there are so many changes in the regulation, not even in Indonesia, but also in Europe and also in Asia. And with these changes, many people didn't get the updates on regulation, and there are some opportunities that should be done by them, should be imposed. They didn't get it. So we're here to give you some knowledge and also sharing about the recent regulation in Indonesia and also the introduction of several taxes in Indonesia. Our first material is for the introduction, is the personal tax. Firstly is the obligation to have taxpayer identification number or NPWP, nomor pokok wajib pajak. And for foreigners residing in Indonesia, they require to have the NPWP if they stay in Indonesia for more than 183 days within a period of 12 months. Which means that they have changed their status to SPDN. Next, please.
Is that how it looks like?
Yes. Is that how it? That's why we put it.
Mine looks different.
It depends on the year because I have the NPWP, but it's from 2006, so the card is quite different. So they change the design every time.
One more thing, the 183 days, is it a combined stay or is it continuous stay? Continuously.
Yes.
What happens if you have to break?
They will
30 days, leave 5 days, come back again. Will they consider as total 183 or?
It's 183 cumulated days.
Cumulated.
Yeah.
And tax is from the income. So what is the definition of income based on the tax point of view? Is each additional economic activity received or accrued by the personnel, whether originating from Indonesia or outside Indonesia, which can be used for consumption or to increase the wealth of the concerned taxpayer in any name or form, including income earned by foreigner. So not only Indonesian, but foreigner in Indonesia are required to pay taxes based on their income. Next, please. So the object of income tax payable in Indonesia is the income from businesses, income related to the employment, income related to the capital, income related to the expertise, income related to activities, and also income related to the entertainment or presenter. For example, if you are an artist and you make concert in Indonesia, for example like Bon Jovi, all of you know Bon Jovi maybe, he comes to Indonesia, he makes some concert in Jakarta, Even though he just stay in Jakarta for 3 days, he required to pay taxes. But there are several different taxes. Depends on the work and depends on the duration of stay in Indonesia. Next, please. Now, the income of non-tax object. There are also income but for non-tax objects such as the aid or contribution, grant, heritage, replacement or benefit in kind of benefits from the taxpayer, reimbursement or compensation received as insurance policy holder, part of profit received or accrued by a member of company whose capital is not divided into shares, partnership, associations, firm, and also partnership. Income from the transfer of land and building to the government for the public interest, and also the zakat received by personal. It's more like the Islamic regulation in Indonesia, but it's quite common in these Islamic countries, the zakat. Next, please. Now, the object of the final income tax is the interest arise from the bank and the interest of cooperative or cooperative that's commonly used in Indonesia, deposit, bond of the stock exchange, sale of shares on stock exchange, lottery prize, severance or old age insurance or JHT, jaminan hari tua, if you know the GBCS, and ransom paid at once. Also, the transfer of rights over land and buildings, lease of lands and buildings, and lease of ships. Next, please. Now, end of year combination. So it's combination, the company that should be combined at the end of the year. So this is end of the year. So you must pay attention to these three combinations. First is income, second is cost, and the last is tax. Next, please. Now, there are costs that are not reducing the gross income based on the Article 9.1 Income Tax Law number 36, year 2008, which consists of prepaid withdrawal from owners, fees for personal use, the establishment of a reserve fund, insurance premium, substitute or benefit in kind, donated clothes or treasure, income tax, fee charges for personal benefit on his or her burdens, and also administrative detention. Next. Now the conclusion for the personal tax is a foreigner who works in Indonesia or have businesses in Indonesia, if it exceeds the time limit of 153 days within a period of 12 months, are required to have the NPWP. Second one, the aspect of the obligation in possession of NPWP, they must fill the annual SPT or personal income tax annually. The third one is the personal income can be derived from the business, jobs, activities, etc. Such income should be recalculated in the calculation of the individual taxpayer according to the principle of worldwide income. Then all the worldwide income should be also contained in the recalculation of the income tax payable in Indonesia. Next. So we also have more introduction. Firstly is the personal, and next one will be material for the corporate. Because we do recognize that there are a lot of foreign or international companies in Indonesia, and also lots of joint cooperation between Indonesian companies and the international companies. Next one is the introduction of the subject of corporate foreign tax. Next, please. Now, the first subject, it is the entity that is not established and domiciled in Indonesia, that conducting business or engaged in activities through a permanent establishment or badan usaha tetap (BUT) Indonesia. The entity is a headquarter of the permanent establishment in Indonesia, located in the country of origin of the permanent establishment. Then the entity becomes foreign tax subject as well as foreign taxpayer if he or she earn income from Indonesia. Next. Second one is the entity that is not established or domiciled in Indonesia. This can accept or obtain income from Indonesia not from conducting businesses or activities throughout a permanent establishment in Indonesia. Then the entity is a company located abroad but earn income from Indonesia, such as dividends, advantage sales of shares, royalty, and others. The entity becomes subject of foreign tax as well as foreign taxpayer if he or she earn income from Indonesia. So there are two kinds of separate definition, but these two are imposed with the rule of tax in Indonesia. Next, please. The next one is the foreign investment or PMA, pelarangan modal asing in the Indonesian regulation. Under the law of the foreign investment or PMA, an instruction for its implementation, PMA in principle is a limited liability company domiciled in Indonesia and established under the law of Indonesia. The difference from other limited liability company, part of or all of the shares are owned by the non-Indonesian citizen or foreign legal entities. So there are some kinds of combination for this PMA. Next. Now, for the next introduction, we will give you the information about the PMA in more detailed explanation, because it's quite important for you to know the definition first, and then you can go to the tax regulation based on this specific definition. Foreign direct investment or FDI. Now we go to the definition, because to know the tax regulation and to interacting with the tax people, you must know the definition first. You must know the basic. Foreign direct investment is an investment made by a resident of one economy in another economy, and it is of a long-term nature or of lasting interest. A country of origin or home country can control the company in an investment destination or host country, either partly or wholly. Next. Foreign direct investment can be buying overseas companies that already exist, like acquisition, providing capital to build new company, like company establishment, you establish a new company, totally new, or buy company share for at least 10%. If it's under 10%, it cannot be described as the foreign direct investment. Next, please. FDI in some form offices presence are based on the 5 categories: rep office, representative office, branch, subsidiary, GO or joint operation, and without the presence of legal firm or e-commerce. We'll explain you the details in the next slides. Next, please. First one, representative office or RO. It's licensed by the BKPM, the Capital Investment Coordinating Board, or Badan Kerjasama Penanaman Modal, with the Permendag number 1 in year 2012. It's unable to perform activities that generate income, as binding contract, issuing an invoice, or bill payment. So mostly they do the research and revision before they open or establish the manufacturing or make their office. RO forms divided into 2, for regional rep office or trade rep office. Next, please. The first form, the regional rep office, is in order to manage the interest of an organization and the principal of the company. It also the preparation for establishment of the subsidiary. This other form is, next please, the trade of RO. What is make the difference? The first one is for the purpose of market research and feasibility studies, and then it's for product promotion of principal company, and also for supervision of product sales, principal company, and then connecting local business supplier with principal company. So they want to test the water first in the new region, in the new country, before they establish a larger scale of operation. Next. Branch office is the integral part of parent company or head office. Now, in the tax perspective, the branch office is one entity with the parent company, the head office. And it is not established under Indonesian law because it's only related to the headquarters. And in practice, the branch may only be used in limited business scope, such as banking and production sharing contract. The branch is a permanent establishment or BUT that is based on the Article number 2.5 of Income Tax Law. Next, please. Third one, subsidiary. In Article 5.2 Income Tax Law, foreign direct investment shall be in form of a limited liability company under the law of Indonesia and domiciled in the territory of the Republic of Indonesia, unless otherwise provided by law. So there are also exceptions in everything. In a separate entity from the parent company, and also not a permanent establishment. And it is incorporated under the law in force in Indonesia. The subject of domestic tax corporate is on the Article 2.3b of Income Tax Law. Next, please. GO, joint operation. It's a partnership between the domestic tax subject to foreign tax subject in complementing certain projects. For example, the product distribution, network cooperation, cooperation for the production of products, usually for commercial aircraft and ship, and exploration and exploitation of oil and gas. Mostly for the large-scale operation. They need to diverse their risk and also for sharing profit, etc. Next, please. The reason why we choose GEO or several companies choose to form joint operation is firstly because the limitation of source of ownership by one party, and also to mitigate and share the risk because it's too risky. We need to share it to someone else. And that is the regulation that requires the GEO. Mostly, if the government wants to build some huge project like MRT, they ask for the joint operation in order to give opportunity for the local companies, but also other small companies in Indonesia. And GEO is broadly divided into administrative GEO, an agreement of employment, contract directly between GEO as a whole to the project owner or customer. Second one is non-administrative GEO. It's an agreement or an employment contract made between the owner of GEO contracts or customer, but in the existing labor agreement stated that the implementation of the project work. Next, please. Now, fifth one. This is one of the most interesting because it's without the present legal former, but it already exists in Indonesia. It's the activity provision of services carried out without the formal legal recognition, such as the e-commerce, consulting services, and other services. There are separate definitions of e-commerce. The first one is e-commerce based on the entity, legal entity, like Lazada or maybe in eBay, etc. But there's also, if you know, like Kaskus, they are individuals who sell their product, but on the domain of internet. They didn't have their own company, they didn't pay taxes, but they sell their product, they have business activities. This is one of the category for the legal, without legal former. And personal consulting services. There are two kinds of consulting services. The personal one, when you are only an individual, but you have the ability, and the people contract you based on the individual contract. But also, like us, they are a consultant with the firm. So we also have the legal documents for the firm. And then the activities provision of services that can be categorized as permanent establishment when fulfilling time tests. Next, please. Okay, so this is the introduction. It is to let you know the definition based on the tax regulation. That is why we put the source of the tax regulation and the number and also the year for the regulation. Because definition on the tax may be quite different from definition of the other regulation. So my colleague, Mr. Awal Samudra, will give you some hot issues regarding the tax amnesty and also tax reduction rates. There's already been discussion by the legislative and executive of Indonesia, and probably will be implemented maybe at the end of the year in 2015 or maybe in 2016 next year. It's very great issue, it's very hot issue. You can ask whatever you want to ask, and we will give you share knowledge and the latest updates. Because it is an issue, we're keeping updates until today. So we already improved our slides for the updated list of the tax amnesty and also tax reduction rates. So please welcome Mr. Awal Samudra. The time is yours. Thank you, Mr. Baca.
We did not put any rules of questioning in between, or should we keep it until end?
We will keep it until end.
You prefer that?
Yeah, we'll prefer that because we would like to give you the comprehensive information first.
Okay. Yeah, just because we did talk about that. No?
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Excuse me, can we get a slide copy later or?
We will send you by email this slide copy. Okay. Mr. Nafi already told you about the current policy, and I want to talk about the issue, still issues right now. And start from now, tax rate reduction is background. What's the background? Declaration and profitability. This is like a hybrid instrument, special purpose entity, and transfer pricing. Next. And this is a correlation for tax rate. As you can see, Indonesia number 2 from
the rates for corporate income tax. And future plan in 2016, our government will reduce until 80. Still planning until now, but the issue is hot. And if Indonesia have the 80%, it's like a Singapore. And we don't know if Singapore want to reduce the income tax or not. We still checking for the next year. As you can see in 2016, mostly in the current tax rate in Asia will drop. Next, background. The government plans to give the tax incentive to support economic growth in the economic policy package 7. And the economic policy package 7 not yet issued, not yet released until now. One of the incentives is to give discount or lower the income tax rate of Article 21 for employees. Maybe if you cooperate with employee more than 300 or 500, the government will give this income tax rate for the rate discount. Next, and this is the current tax from the income tax law number 7, amendment for number 36 years 2008. 5% maximum 15 million, 15% 215 million, 25% 500 million, and the bigger is 30%. Government will have changed maybe in the 30% and 5% for the maximum rate. Endorsed is there is a possibility that we will be endorsed to labor incentive enterprise. So when company have more than 500 or 300 employees, they will give this is reduced rate. Next, because the reduced rate still out by the economic coordinator, the issue not yet released and the information, lack of information on it. And this is for the hard issue. Maybe you already heard from national tax amnesty. Never? Okay, we will talk about this. Next, definition of national tax amnesty. Elimination of tax payable, tax administrative sanction, criminal sanction by paying ransom. And how about the subject for this national tax amnesty? Next. Oh, we talk about the background. Background. OECD and 20 members signed an agreement in October 2015 for automatic exchange of information that will be executed in 2018. But Indonesia would like to apply earlier, 2017. Next. In Indonesia, until 27 November 2015, there is only 60% of the tax revenue. So why our director of BGT have resigned to this? Yeah. Yeah, hot issue. And the others background is the revision of banking legislation number 10 years 1988. Yeah, please, next. And subject. From the drafting of law for the national amnesty, they mention any individual or entity. So, can expect expatriate include in this area? We're still waiting. Mostly from government or from parliament. Mention local or citizens from Indonesia, not expatriate. But from the drafting of the laws for national tax amnesty, they mention any individuals. Okay, please, next. Object. album that are reported in the request letter of the national amnesty, inside and outside from Indonesia before this enacted this regulation. When this regulation will adopted or executed from the parliament, they still waiting and until 18 December this month. If 18 December not execute, maybe we will starting in January 2016. So still we will waiting until 2 weeks. Next, the rates of the ransom. There's two models. This is a drafting model 1, 3% into 8%, October, December, until July, December 2006. And this is model 2. There's some amendment or changing of rate. There is more simple and more lower, 1.5 to 2 and until 6. Maybe this model will approve from the government or the parliament. Next, rates. The basis of the rates and imposition is the value of the reported wealth. So you must report it all your money from inside or outside. The amount of ransom is calculated by multiplying the tariff with the base of ransom imposition. Next, requirement. You must have a tax ID, delivering a request letter, pay the ransom, settle all of the tax payable, and giving, this is the hardest, giving all of the directorate of general education to open the access to all accounts of individual activity located in domestic or foreign. This is the hard decision. Next, facilities. You will get eliminated of tax payable and other taxation before this regulation is enacted. When you have a tax audit, it will be terminated. And for the tax collection letter, Mr. Smarang, tax audit, there is will stop. Next. This is still has to do with government and parliament. Terrorism or drugs or human trafficking, there is will include or no? The answer is accept. Will of terrorism, drug and human trafficking will not include all for this tax amnesty. Next, restriction. Individual or entities that apply of the national amnesty is not entitled to compensate the fiscal losses. To still allow for getting a tax refund. Re-revise tax return for monthly or annual before this regulation is enacted. Next. Okay. Maybe from me is finished. You can ask us.
So thank you. The reason why we're giving this information is just because you notice that there's a lot of words before. So in order to get this kind of facilities, you must apply the preparation for the tax amnesty before the rules are enacted. That is why we give you the information so that maybe you can prepare for everything, and when the rules will be enacted, you already submit your document to them. Because it's a hot issues, there's still many debates in the government, but probably will be more than 50%. The government will apply the tax amnesty, but maybe the scope will be more specific, because previously the name is not National Tax Amnesty, it's just National Amnesty, because the government, they wanted to put every criminal act, but now after many debates, they make specific on it, so it's probably will be called as the National Tax Amnesty, because it all only consists of the tax acts, so it's criminal acts related to the tax. So there's all good things, rather than you go to asking for the reduction of the penalty, you can go to the tax amnesty, because it will be more simple and it will be a lot of saving for you. but it's still on debate. But we also keep updates for current government regulation. So if you want to ask something or everything related to the tax and also tax amnesty, will likely give you the information, the share of the information. As a consultant, our main aim is to give you the solution and also the information about the regulation. So if you have any question, thank you, sir.
You were saying the period meaning that the period you declare,
Yes.
the period from October to December.
Yes.
And then second is you were saying that you have to declare before the law becomes enacted. It's tricky, isn't it? Because you don't know what the law is all about.
Maybe there's real changing for only for taxation crime. So they're still debating for legislative and executive. Which one? There's include all the others for terrorism or not, but the drafting accepted for that. And maybe for the first part for October and December, it's like a sweetness for this regulation. So maybe like I put this, it can be touched or not, or maybe only 2016 you can apply.
Even
2015,
after the law has been
yeah,
approved.
yeah,
Because I noticed you have 2016 from January to
yeah,
June.
yeah. The rest of the period.
And the law is expected to be approved in this year or beginning next year.
Yeah. So if they are like in January, for the October and December, there's loss.
The reason why we explain you about this, there are many schemes that the government tried to enact in the legislative debating. So they have several schemes, and there are schemes that they will be more specific. If you apply after the law is enacted, there will be no tax amnesty at all. But there are also another schemes. There will be plan. So the first plan will be just 3%, and if you pass the amount of, for example, in March, in April, it will be higher tax ransom that you must be paid. So there are several schemes that will be used by the government. So it might be contradict, but it is a scheme that they are trying to regulate. So it gives you the information so you can make a preparation. So if you have any question, another question you would like to ask?
I have one, not to the tax amnesty,
Okay.
to the section before. Branch office for me,
Oh,
again,
the model.
yeah, branch office is, I couldn't see that, is allowed to do business or not?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Can a branch office import, sell goods or not? That I have not understood clearly.
Okay. So the definition that we gave to you is the definition based on the tax regulation. So
Alright.
like we have said before, there are two kind of definition. The definition from the government, the general definition, and also definition of the tax. So based on the definition of the tax, the branch office will give you the slide.
Next. Yeah.
Yes. The regulation of tax office, they categorize office as a branch office if they have integral part of the parent company, and its tax prerogative is also related to the parent company and not established under the Indonesian law. So they apply different law also, even though they are Indonesian. But in practice, from the tax perspective, if you talk to the tax people, you can only use by limited business scope, like banking or selling, so maybe like not trading. So it's a definition of tax. Even though you have a branch office in Indonesian, but if you go to the tax office, you cannot put the definition of branch office because it's different in the term of tax. So, like we explained to you before, this is the estimation based on the article of income tax law. So if you go to maybe BKPM, the categories will be branch office. But if you go to the tax office to report your tax, and you doesn't have the requirement for the branch office, then you cannot categorize as branch office. So it is based on the regulation. I know it's a little bit, it's quite different and it's also strange, but the regulation explain that there are separate definitions. So it's our government who trying to separate this because of the activities, based on the activities.
So once more, if you open a branch office, you cannot use that as a trading office. They cannot do business.
You can open a branch office, you can do trading, but if you report to the tax office, they won't categorize your office as a branch office. But in general, you can open a branch office if you apply to BKPM. But it's different if you report to the tax office. It's for the registration purpose.
Then what they will call it? What will the tax office call it?
Maybe call it as
Subsidiary.
yeah, subsidiary.
They will define it as a subsidiary.
Yes, on your form they will put the subsidiary. But in the general regulation, you will be called as branch office. So it's just the administration process.
Isn't it required permanent establishment?
Yes, so we got it from an establishment in the article of 2.5 of income tax law.
The tax law will apply just like normal company.
Yes.
Income divides and division.
The rep office is clear. It's not no business, no nothing.
Yes,
Just
yes.
there to, as the name says. And the branch office is something in between the subsidiary and the rep office.
And as long as the entity name is same, the head office is a different.
Yes. That's why we give you the definition. This is the detail of definition. We know that maybe already some people who work with business in Indonesia already know the definition. But we do explain this again for the definition because we're also facing the same problem in Jakarta. Many people, they think it's a branch office because in BKPM they entitled as a branch office. But when they go to the tax office for reporting their tax, the definition is quite different. So they have false administration process. It will be negative for them for the tax perspective and also for the process because they need to do another process to repair the documents.
Yeah, because to apply for a branch and to apply for a subsidiary is different.
Yes.
Different effort also.
Yes. Even their tax obligations, yeah.
Okay.
You saying tax obligation means the tax rate, say, the definite income definition of everything, similar to normal company.
Only tax divided, this is branch, this is subsidiary. They divided based on the activities of the business. That's for the tax.
We come back to this question about work income.
Yes.
Only, is it work income, only income permitted in Indonesia? For income not permitted in Indonesia, is it considered as income?
For mobile income.
Mobile income. So income derived outside Indonesia, not remitted into Indonesia, is it considered as income? The income.
For branch.
If you have income outside Indonesia, let's say in Singapore, but the income is not brought into Indonesia.
So you just stay in Indonesia, for example. But you have the head office in Indonesia or you don't
I
have?
have a company in Indonesia.
So the Indonesia is the head office or not? Because it's quite different. If you have head office in Indonesia, it's your branch.
Okay. So, okay, if the head office is not in Indonesia, it's in a branch,
Indonesia is branch.
then income will not be taxed, right?
Yeah.
But if that company is an Indonesian company, will that be taxed?
Worldwide, yes. Yeah, worldwide.
Worldwide,
So,
whether remitted or not remitted into the country.
yeah, yes, because they all have related to the headquarters, which is Indonesia, if they are Indonesian company. Even though they have business in Singapore and they're keeping their money to Singapore, but because their head office is Indonesian, they must pay taxes to the Indonesian government.
How about double taxation? There is double taxation. It is paid in Singapore.
Yes,
There's a tax treaty. Can eliminate that.
there's a tax treaty, but the tax treaty is quite different for each country. It is based on the government G2G cooperation. So you must pay attention to in which country we will have the tax treaty. This will be different this time.
Next question. In the context of this ASEAN, is there one common tax treaty or is it different countries in ASEAN?
Different countries, different tax. so I the tax register it will challenging for the like sale.
So tax, the Director General doesn't recognize ASEAN, basically.
Even VAT have a different rate. Indonesia 10%, maybe like Malaysia 7% of VAT.
For tax regulation, for each country they have their own tax regulation, so they're not like maybe not like as integrated as Europe because ASEAN is still in process. But currently and until 5 years in the future, they will still have their own tax rates. But based on the information that we've given to you, they will have some reduction of tax rates. So there will be probability that maybe Indonesia will have the same tax rate as Singapore, but it's based on their own government. So even though they have the same tax rates, it's the decision of their own government. So it's not based on the regulation of ASEAN for the tax definition.
Actually, on this reduction of tax rate, you said that Indonesia goes down to 18 to 20%.
Yes.
Is it already decided? Do we know what is the final rate, or what is the reason why there's two rates?
Still drafting.
Still drafting, but it should be enacted from 2016.
Yeah.
So it's not. So when do we expect to have a final decision? Or
The government gives some issue, already released some issue. It will release and finalize in 2016. The matter is only the rate. They will give 18 or 20 or lower. We don't know. But the years,
applicable for starting from the tax year 2016.
yeah, yes. You will start
So right now, if I need to do a business case, let's say I do not know exactly now what is my next year's tax rate.
okay, for the income tax rate, you will report it and you will pay for next year. So this is,
But for the planning purposes,
Yeah. you can play. Maybe these weaknesses are for Indonesian government.
I mean, what I see is that it seems that the law is being changing, but it's enacted on a very short notice. Yeah, it means to say that the planning horizon is very little. Yeah, because let's say we're now in December and I don't know what is my income tax rate next year, but I should make up a budget. Yeah.
I think the rate will apply to the particular fiscal year. For example, at the moment, the fiscal year is 2015, the rate has been fixed there is 25. So the future fiscal year 2016,
Next
if
year,
they change it, it will apply to future years, not
not the current.
backward. But it's,
Yeah, but again, I mean, because if you do budgeting, you do it now.
Yeah.
for
Oh,
next
yeah.
year.
For your budget,
So,
yes.
then
Maybe you
have
can
certain
put
factors
this
on certain
as a draft.
Yeah. I mean, the same is with the tax amnesty, that basically the law is not yet enacted, but we're basically asking the companies to apply for amnesty, but it means we don't know exactly the
Yeah.
details.
Yes, but they are already planning to enact the tax amnesty in 2016 because in 2017 they will most open out of their account based on the OECD agreement. So they try to prevent some negative point of view from the OECD. So it will be enacted in 2016. But based on our definition, what we give to you is more than 60%. Because they already specify everything. They already do the larger scope and then they going to specify everything. So it's only 60% on this definition that we give to you. Even there will be changes, it will be minor changes because they already do debate, a lot of debate on it, and they already specify everything, will be 60%.
Maybe this is same case like you already know for PTKP. There is changing for 2018, 56 billion. And from reported withholding tax article 21 from January and June, you must revise. Because for PTKP already released in June. July.
That is which one?
there's a deductible tax allowance.
Withholding tax for employees.
Employee income tax.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe this is case almost same.
It will almost the same like that. So they ask you to revise the accounts.
If you already running with 25% for prepaid, and government, if you acting, you will revise back then like the cases.
So what you're saying is that in one fiscal year 2016, if the rule starts from July, then from January to June, full rate, July to December, new
Yeah,
rate.
you must revise.
How likely is it that it happens?
Welcome to Indonesia.
Welcome to Indonesia.
That's what I'm asking. I'm here long enough, that's why. Yeah, because it's with, like with everything, I mean, when do we get to know usually the minimum wage raises? Usually we get to know that in January when all the planning for the year has happened already, and suddenly they surprise you, it's not 10%, it's 30%. Ah, little change. Of course I would love to know if it is happening in 2016 because it has an impact on cash flow, isn't it? So it would be nice to know, is it happening or is it not happening?
It will, but we're still waiting.
So you,
We will-
you also
we
don't
will
know
inform
when
you.
it
No.
will, and
I'm not,
as of when it will
yeah.
be implemented, as of January or June, July, we don't know. Middle of the year, again, this is something not known, so no planning security.
This is maybe for you need for certainly, and this is our government uncertain.
At least what we're trying to do is give you the information so that you can prepare in general purposes for budgeting, yes. Because in Indonesia you need to make some planning for revise because the government always, they regularly do that, always changes
Every month.
maybe every month, and then they ask you to make revise like the previously cases, and then we give you the general information that you do not get some negative, a lot of negative point of view in Indonesian. So at least they give us the case, they give us the definition, they give us the, this is a process from the beginning, it's national amnesty, and then it will be more specific in national, just tax, national tax amnesty. So at least it gives us a process. And at least it's more than 50%. The least that we can do. For the complementary information, as a consultant, we for MIM Consulting, we already have the regular articles and insight. So if we have some special issues or there are changes in regulation, we will send you by email or articles and insight. It's normally it's an ebook, so you will have no problem to reading it in every gadgets. And also, it's a good update. We give you general updates and also free. It's a complementary services for you. Not just related to the tax issue, but also the government planning and also the European regulation. Previously, we are invited to the Bank of Indonesia, and when we invited to the Chamber of Commerce event. So we'll give you the information monthly. We already have your email. We changed business card, so we give good opportunity. We meet in Surabaya the first time in here in Thursday, but in the future we will give you more updates by email. So we'll not only give you updates on Surabaya, but also throughout the year. Even though we are in Jakarta, we give you information. Because as a consultant, we intend to give you the information. We intend to give you solution.
I just want to mention about why Indonesian government for national tax amnesty want to accelerate in 2015. Because in 2018, they will automatic exchange of information will be executed. So if you have money outside of Indonesia, you will operate.
We will trace by government. And also the
OECD
will
will
use that also.
So you can plan for 2016 what you want to do. What 2017.
Shift the money to outside OECD and G20.
Yes. Maybe that's the other explaining.
Yes. It's all tax planning. You have several decisions that you can make, and you can analyze everything and make the choice. So
Maybe to tax
And Indonesia wants to apply that earlier.
yes, yes.
What an ambitious plan. Because 2018,
You must take it
that
from
would
now.
be the first time they do something earlier than others.
Indonesian government needs a lot of money
Yeah.
from the taxpayer.
The abroad money to come to Indonesia for investment, so that's one of the reasons. But also because the people from the government, they also have some money also from the legislative and the executive side, so they want to secure their fund also. That's why one of the reasons why we made it fast in 2017, because not only the private sector but also the government sector, they have their own benefits on it.
But the question is that the other members may not want to disclose it until the execution 2018. Indonesia may request, but it is agreed upon that only after 2018 we share the information. So Indonesia cannot by itself apply the rule.
Yes, they have the autonomy. If the president demands so and the legislative they approve it, then they can have their own rules. It's the autonomy.
But getting the information from other members of the group, whether do they want to share the information before the agreed date.
Yes, that is why they, from our point of view, they try to prevent any negative review from the OECD in 2018. So they try to secure their fund first in 2017. It's safer for them because in Indonesia, there's a lot of illegal funds. Okay, you would like to ask?
Yeah,
questions?
I believe you will share the slides.
Yes, I will
for
send
us,
slides.
for all of us in this room. May you please add one more slide,
Okay.
key highlighting points you summarize, and what the points of all your topics we should consume more,
Okay.
and we will find the update later on, or it will be great if you can send updated as well.
Okay.
We will send you the updates.
Maybe we'll add more about the highlights and point of view that you need to be aware of. And then
It's like you said, the hot issue, and
yes,
it's not unclear until now.
yes, we'll give you the updates and the highlights on it. Clearly, you need to be prepared for it because it's related to the money and also related to the criminal acts or tax. So if you heard the news, there are some taxpayer, businessman, taxpayer who didn't pay taxes and he get to the jail. It's very
Tax law enforcement
listen,
in 2015 already high.
it's already high and it will be higher in
In
2016
2016 because there's some shortfall
in the tax
tax
revenue.
revenue very big.
But what is the reason of the shortfall of the tax revenue? Because what I always hear is that they have very high collection targets, yeah? But I don't know whether these high collection targets actually relate back to the economic reality, yeah? Because I mean, what I have experienced here is that they are very aggressive in the tax audit, yeah? And they put out some fantasy numbers, yeah? Then you see that you have an extremely inefficient objection process that doesn't give you anything.
Yeah.
So you just lose like a year, and then you go through tax appeal. And actually, on tax appeal, you win on the tax court, but you just lose in between 2 years.
You're right.
So, is anything also planned to change this process of objection?
The form from the GT will changing. Not under from Minister of Finance. There will have a new entity, directive reporting direct to President in 2017. So
This is
they
so close, yeah.
so they need a lot of money in 2016. They can give their money for this new entity for maybe like IRS. The
Yeah.
models for new DGT. IRS is from
USA, yes.
US. The model like that. Reporting directly to President.
So there will be independent entity.
Independent, more independent. And
By when would this be?
yes,
By when? Which year? 2016 or
2017.
2017? So that will be out of Minister of Finance.
Yeah. Maybe it will be independent and as you know, Indonesian tax ratio from 2015 only 14 or 15% below. to lower on the tax ratio.
So, what ratio?
Tax ratio.
Yeah.
So they have initiative to change the model for the GT for the next future. Question?
This amnesty you were talking about, 3%, 5%,
Yeah.
the rules must be a lot, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just about the rates itself, is it?
Pardon?
The rules of amnesty, it talks about the ransom.
Yeah.
So it's only about rates alone, but there are many issues on this income. There are many issues on this income.
Yes, because it will cover a lot of things like for example, tax amnesty, not just for the tax reduction, they also covers for the criminal tax acts that will be more specific. So the rules will be, for example, and Mr. Along, he mentioned before that it will be independent entity. In order to have independent entity, the reason is that the government will have the regulation, undang-undang. It's not based on the Ministry of Finance, but it will be its independence regulation. So with the independence regulation, they will have their own specific regulation because it will cover many things, and it's for covering the OECD agreement. So it will be higher than the regulation for the Ministry of Finance. It will be directly below the president. It will be the highest regulation for the tax. A very big regulation. So this is the scene, the models. Usually you can get a sort of information for tax update in your tax.org. You can have more the others on the general information also. So if you have any more question or maybe Mr. Alvin would like to add something for the updates on the tax regulation.
The model one is the first one, and model two is the update.
So this is the previous debate.
As you can see, they are decreasing for the rates. Maybe we hope the model 3 only 0.5 or 0.
There probably they will have the Model 3 after the more long debates, but for the current updates, it will be the Model 2. So we give you the process. If they have the property for the Model 3, it will be good because it will be lower, but we give you the information so that you can prepare if they didn't have the Model 3. At least we have the Model 2. You have the preparation for it. In this step, if you can apply for the October and December, it will be better, but if you don't have the time, you can apply for January and June for 4%. So is there anything else we can help you?
So if there are no more questions,
Please.
maybe we can just go outside and have our dinner, and I'm sure our two guests are still ready to talk to you if there's any other issues you want to discuss with them while having something to eat. And you can also buy a bottle of beer if you want in our canteen. So let us go outside and have some dinner. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
your
so much.
presentation.
Thank you so much.
Good idea, Richard.
Yeah. You mean the
My
food
stomach
or
is
beer?
calling me.
Okay. Okay. You're representing
nice to meet you. Yeah, he couldn't come. Huh? He had
reason.
so, okay. Yeah.